Today, after many delays, jury selection starts in the trial of Robert Feldman. He's accused of killing his wife back in 2015. This morning, a new plea from the cousin of a 17-year-old shot and killed in Denver. They want to know what happened to their loved one after she was found dead in an alley over a week ago. And families trying to rebuild after the Marshall Fire need financial help. Now many are learning they won't be able to get it. We'll explain just ahead on 9 News Mornings.
We're starting off with a live look over Denver this morning. It's going to be a very windy day and a dry day, so that means there's going to be a big risk of fire danger.
Yep, we talked with a meteorologist from the National Weather Service about it. He told us the situation is a bit different from what happened the day the Marshall Fire happened and the NCAR fire too.
The main difference here is how prolonged this one will be. Winds, obviously, during the Marshall Fire were extreme. We're not expecting 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Boulder proper with this event, so that is one key difference. And with the NCAR fire, that was fairly localized in terms of where we were seeing the most critical fire weather conditions. Really, for this event this week, we're looking at widespread fire concerns across the majority of northeastern Colorado, from the lower foothills all the way into the eastern plains bordering Kansas and Nebraska.
The Denver metro area's drought conditions have improved recently, but not enough to eliminate fire weather concerns. Other parts of the state are still considered high risk.
So let's get right to our own expert, Ed Green. What should people know and look out for today?
Yeah, it is going to be gusty winds. As they said, not 100-mile-an-hour winds, but 60 to 7-mile-an-hour winds. You throw your stogie in a field, it's going to go up.
Yeah,
so
don't do that.
You still have to be very careful with this stuff. So as far as the weather goes, we're going to see a front come through. It's going to bring some rain showers, not a lot, so that's not going to be a big help. But as we take a look at what we've got going on right now, partly cloudy skies, 52 degrees. Winds right now only at 5 miles an hour at the airport. In Boulder, they're gusting, and as this front comes through, they will continue to pick up. The front sits just about here. You can kind of see it outlined by this moisture. It's all coming our way, and as it does, it's going to cool us down, and it's also going to kick up the showers a little bit later on. So here it is on the Futurecast. 3 o'clock this afternoon, we have some showers. Don't last long. They're gone, and by tomorrow morning, we're back to sunshine for the rush hour. So here's the forecast. For today, 58 degrees. We see some afternoon showers. Going to be windy. Tomorrow stays windy, but look at the high. Only 49 degrees, so it's going to be a blustery day around here. We go to 54 on Thursday. Drop the wind, so mostly sunny skies, still on the chilly side. However, look at your opening day for the Rockies. 65 degrees for opening day, mild conditions.
Ed, thank you. Right now, we want to show you what the drive looks like. So far, pretty quiet. I-25 and 8th Avenue is where we're looking here. Northbound and southbound lanes. Just a few cars out there so far. Really light in volume overall. Seeing the same thing across the metro area, mostly green, really all green. Your drive into Commerce City not being impacted by anything at this hour on westbound 76. That commute in 10 minutes from E470. Southbound 225 and northbound 225 in the green here between I-70 and I-25, just a 10-minute travel time through that stretch as well. And then under 10 minutes for your drive on I-70 both ways between I-25 and 225.
Erica, thanks. After years of delays this morning, jury selection is going to begin in the murder trial of a Denver man who was accused of killing his wife back in 2015. Robert Feldman's trial has been pushed several times because of the COVID-19 pandemic and other issues. 9 News reporter John Glasgow live from Denver District Court this morning. And John, the delays have been pretty frustrating for the victim's family.
Well, Gary, this case has been delayed 4 times. It was scheduled to begin in October, but then the prosecution argued that an essential witness was out of the country, which has delayed the trial until now. So it's been 7 years since Stacey Feldman was found dead in a bathtub of their home in March of 2015. Court documents say that Robert Feldman called 911 and reported his wife's death just hours after another woman had contacted Stacey about having an affair with him. Feldman told police he found his wife unresponsive in the shower. According to those court documents, the doctor who did her autopsy could not pinpoint a cause of death. In late 2017, an outside doctor who reviewed Stacey Feldman's autopsy report and other evidence found that she was strangled or suffocated. Feldman was arrested in March of 2018. He's been out on bond and on house arrest since. So the doctor who did the autopsy is now living in California, and she offered to testify via video during the pandemic back in October. However, Feldman's defense attorneys argued that she should testify in person, which has delayed the trial until now. Gary, once the jury selection gets underway today, this case will move forward.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thank you much, John. And we have an update now on the crash that killed a pedestrian in Windsor over the weekend. Police say it happened in the middle of a memorial for another crash victim. Officers say people were there Saturday to remember a motorcyclist who died at this place this time last year. That's when the driver of a Jeep hit 3 people who were standing in the crowd. 1 person was killed, 2 others were hurt. Police say the driver pulled over at the next street and is cooperating with investigators. So far, they haven't filed any charges.
A judge has dropped the charges against the man accused of starting one of Colorado's most destructive wildfires, the Spring Creek Fire. He's in the country without proper authorization, so immigration agents will decide what happens to him next. Jesper Jorgensen was released from a mental hospital yesterday after spending years there. He was arrested the day after the Spring Fire started back in 2018. That fire burned more than 140 homes in southern Colorado and became one of our largest wildfires on record. An affidavit says Jorgensen was cooking in a fire pit, went to sleep, and woke up to a wildfire. Jorgensen has repeatedly been found incompetent to stand trial. The judge said he hoped Immigration and Customs Enforcement would deport him to his home country of Denmark.
The family of a 17-year-old girl found dead in an alley 2 weekends ago is still searching for answers. 9 News reporter Darius Johnson joins us in the studio this morning. And Darius, the family says that they aren't getting any new updates from police.
Natasha, no new information since that first tweet came out saying that this 17-year-old girl was found dead in an East Side alleyway nearly 2 weeks ago. Now, weeks later, or nearly 2 weeks later, this family is still finding it hard to move on when they don't know how their loved one's life ended. As flowers wilt, questions from a loving family remain.
We want answers, and we want to know why this happened. It just makes no sense.
Answers as to what happened to 17-year-old Jasmine Rivas Hernandez.
Nobody deserves to die, and especially from, somebody else's hands at that.
Jasmine's cousin Diana Hernandez is heartbroken, yet strong as she and her family press police for more information.
We're just waiting patiently for the police to finish their investigation and stuff like that.
So far, nothing. All they know is Jasmine was found shot to death in this alley near Colfax and Quebec, March 26.
It's frustrating just because we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard of no suspects. The only thing we've heard of is the new information that we got was she was shot.
Jasmine is the first loss Diana has experienced, a pain she never wants to experience again.
I'm never gonna get to see her again. I'm never gonna get to talk to her again, and that's just because somebody took that from me.
Now, when I just covered this story last week, police were initially calling this a homicide that was criminal in nature. The coroner's office has now confirmed that she died of a gunshot wound. Of course, if you have any information that could bring this family some closure, you're asked to contact police. There is a $2,000 reward for any leads or for any information that leads to an arrest.
Yeah, this is just so heartbreaking. And the fact that police haven't really had much answers, just that there's been a gunshot wound, hopefully the family can get more answers.
They've had a vigil at this point. Many of them are still trying to move on and continue through life, but many of them can't continue to pick up those pieces until they know what happened to Jasmine.
Yeah, it's so tough. Darius, thank you. Now, police in Sacramento have arrested 1 man connected to the mass shooting there. Officers say at least 2 people fired more than 100 shots as bars were letting out, killing 6 people and hurting 12. The shooting happened in a busy part of downtown, a couple blocks from the state capitol and the arena where the Sacramento Kings play. Police say there was a big fight before the shooting happened. Sacramento's district attorney says there will be more arrests in the case.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is on track to become the first black woman on the Supreme Court. Democrats are pushing to confirm her by the end of the week. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted along party lines yesterday, deadlocked at 11-11 to advance her confirmation to the full Senate. It's the first deadlock on a Supreme Court nomination in more than 30 years. The full Senate then had to vote to break the tie, advancing her nomination. The final confirmation vote could happen as early as Thursday.
And today, Ukraine's president is scheduled to speak to the United Nations Security Council. He's going to talk about the deaths of civilians outside of Kyiv. Ukraine's prosecutor general said they found the bodies of more than 400 civilians in towns that were occupied by the Russians. Some of the victims had their hands tied. The Russian government is denying responsibility. President Biden says Russian President Vladimir Putin should be tried for war crimes.
One thing you want to know about the weather. Yesterday, 67 degrees. A front's going to come through, bring cooler weather, so only 50s to around 60 degrees. Showers this afternoon. Tomorrow, cooler still windy, but temperatures only in the 40s to around 50.
Well, the Kansas Jayhawks are the NCAA men's basketball champions. They beat North Carolina 72-69 last night.
Yeah, the Jayhawks had a pretty slow start in the game. North Carolina had the lead in the first half, almost 15 points, but Kansas stormed back.
It is the biggest comeback in championship history, winning their first title since 2008.